Welcome to Coffee Cocktails. More importantly, welcome to the first subscriber milestone episode of Coffee Cocktails. We are celebrating our 1 subscriber special, and to do that, we have a very special guest with us today, our 1 subscriber. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Al, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good.
So, welcome to the show. Thank you for being our first subscriber.
Oh, my pleasure.
So what made you subscribe?
Well, I love you, Al. You're my son.
Oh, that sounds great. I don't think you would have found the subscribe button if I didn't tell you how.
True. But that's why I need you.
Thank you. So yeah, I wanted to chat a bit. So you, as long as I've known you, aka since I was born, you've been drinking coffee pretty much every day. So what's your coffee experience like? When did you start drinking coffee?
That's a good question, Al. I probably started drinking coffee as a teenager, which I don't recommend for other teenagers, by the way. But yeah, I've always been a coffee person. Had to cut back when I was expecting my kids a little bit, but yeah, I'd say coffee is the one thing, food item that I can't live without.
Yeah, I've seen you try to get up in the morning, especially when all the cats have heard the coffee machine.
Well, it started with the 3 kids. That's why I needed the coffee so much.
Yeah. So when you were younger, what was coffee like? Were there any like specialty coffee or like fresh roasted coffee options? Could you even get whole bean coffee where you were at, or was it always pre-ground in a can?
Well, that's a good question now, because in my house, my dad always drank coffee, but as far as I can remember, he always drank instant, whatever, Nescafe or something.
Really?
Always. But my best coffee memories were at my granny and papa's house, because she actually perked the coffee every morning for my grandfather in a percolator on the stove. You know, the one with the little glass.
Yeah, with the glass
thing.
dome, and you can see it. Yeah.
And I remember that smell in the morning, waking up there, and they always used chock full of nuts.
Ah, yeah.
Always. And it was pre-ground in the can. But on my granny's table, in the middle of the table, she always had an old-fashioned coffee grinder, which she never used. You know, it was wood with a handle. But
So just decorative.
I just remembered she always served it in these plain white cups. And I just remember that smell of coffee percolating, right? You can't beat it.
Yeah, you get a strong flavor though. The thing with percolator coffee is because you have to boil the water to brew the coffee, it gets very dark, over-extracted, some might say, but you know, with a darker coffee, not a specialty coffee, that might actually help it a little bit. So.
And we didn't know then. Yeah. We didn't, and for many years, I didn't know what quality coffee was. Really, I'd say my coffee consciousness has really grown in the last 2 years, and it's because Jay has been sending us some quality roasts, and because of that, I've actually switched. I used to be a real dark roast person, and now I've really switched to lighter roast, and I really appreciate.
I'm glad to hear that.
The nuances of coffee.
Yeah.
I much more enjoy the light and medium roast.
Lighter roasts are where it's at now with the whole specialty coffee industry. It's all light roast. It's all those fruity flavors and the more bold aromas. I actually didn't know that. That's really good.
Yeah. Jay sent me these great coffees from a place by him, Stone Creek, I think it is. Delicious.
I've stolen some. They're very good. That's the benefit of living 5 minutes away from your parents. Yeah, so when I didn't really drink coffee for most of my life. I was never, and I'm still not really a daily coffee drinker. Do you remember when I started drinking coffee daily? When you gave me those coffee supplies. Oh. Remember, it was December of 2018, and we were looking for gifts for my brothers, for Jay and Ross. And I made the mistake of scrolling through a website with you, and there was a Blue Bottle ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, oh, Blue Bottle, yeah, I had maybe the best cup of coffee of my life there when I was in California. And you didn't say a thing. And then that year I got so many Blue Bottle coffee branded things. I got all their coffees, I got the pour over dripper, and that's when I started making coffee for myself. And that's why during the start of the pandemic, when Jay was making his how to make pizza videos, I said, well, I got to do the same with coffee now that I'm an expert. So
you drink coffee mostly in the afternoon, or you ever drink it in the morning?
If I usually drink it in the morning in weekends, right? When you're doing, I don't have a drip coffee machine like you, so if I'm making coffee, it has to be pour over or French press. I don't have time for that before work. Yeah, so yeah, that's honestly what started this show. Is once I started doing those videos just for the family and releasing them, privately, I said eventually I wanted to do some wider episodes. So
Yeah.
that's great.
I think all the family drinks coffee now.
I think so. Yeah. So how? And a couple years later, I gave you that same coffee dripper.
Oh, yeah.
Have you used it much?
Yeah, I've used it occasionally, but it does take time and it takes, some precision. So, like you, when I want the coffee, it's hard to invest the time sometime, but I really should.
Would you like to invest the time right now?
Yeah, I would love to invest the time.
Well, I have a surprise. I stole your coffee dripper and brought it here.
Okay, guys.
So let's go.
All right.
All right, surprise, I have a setup for you.
Oh, nice. I need to practice.
Well, good, that's what we're here for. All right, Lucy. Lucy.
She wants to sleep all.
She
I
needs
don't
it.
think
She
she
sleeps all day.
Oh man, that's part of the
All
problem.
right, so let's go ahead and make whenever I make coffee for myself in the morning, this is the recipe I use. So this is a pretty strong, pretty large cup of coffee, but it's the 1 cup I drink. So what I have here in our pour-over drippers is 30 grams of medium coarse ground coffee. They say the size of sea salt, or the size of coarse salt.
Coarse salt.
Number 6 on my grinder. On your grinder, I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Is your grinder
So
even numbered?
Yes. So I have a grinder like a hand grinder, but I also have one electric.
Yeah, you just need to dial in the electrical grinder. That's probably going to be the best option for you.
And are they always on to 10?
It's completely unstandardized. It
Okay.
means nothing.
So
The numbers are they're just numbers.
you said coarse salt. Okay, I got it.
I always start with a bloom. I bloom with 60 grams. Go ahead and turn on your scale. And let it zero out.
Okay.
So I always start with 60 grams of water, and I always try to go slow and cover the entire bed of coffee. There we go. You can see it's starting to bubble a little bit. Any carbon dioxide that's trapped in the grounds will start to go out, so just give it a nice little swirl.
Whoa.
Careful with my wonderful coffee mugs that you gave me. This was part of the set.
So what's the purpose of the bloom?
So first off, you want to get all the coffee hydrated. You want to make sure that when we add these additional doses of water, that it is evenly going to seep through the coffee. And also you do want that carbon dioxide to escape quickly and not interfere with the rest of the brew. So the next step is we're going to, we are at 60 grams now. We want to go to 150 grams.
Okay, so it's up to 150.
Up to 150.
We don't zero it out.
Yes, so we don't zero it out. Well, you can if you want. I just know the math like this. So you want to go very slow. I've heard up to 1 minute of this, and you want to move the stream of water in a stirring motion. You want to stir the coffee grounds as you're pouring. This is the pour over part of pour over. There you go. Let's go ahead and do 150, up to 150. A little slower.
Oh man, you got to be able to do a couple things at once.
Yeah.
Read it and stir
And wrangle cats.
well, I'm not as good as this.
You're doing good.
I'm missing the edges there. Oh,
Yeah, you'll miss the edges a little bit, and that's fine as long as you're getting most of the edge and you're definitely swirling out to the center.
I'm not a swirly.
And if you're a few grams over, that's fine. Oh, perfect. That's
there.
exactly 151.
All right.
All right. And you don't want to leave too much time in between doses, but now we're going to go to 250. So we're going to do a much larger dose now. We still want to go slow. We don't want to stir and churn it as much, but we're going to go to 250, but still nice and slow. And by the time this draws down, it's probably, it's time for you to go to your dose. You want to let it draw down a bit, but not all the way
And
to
not
the
as
bottom.
not as stirry. Not as stirry.
Yeah, not as stirry. There you go. Where are you at? There you go.
So what's the benefit of doing coffee this way versus just putting it in your coffee pot?
You don't need to buy a machine.
Well, besides
Yeah, it is a different cup of coffee. Even a flat bottom pour over cone like this versus a conical pour over filter. We're going to 350 now, and that's the final dose. You can tell the difference there. You have a different amount of time in which the hot water is contacting the coffee and extracting flavors. So even between those two, there's a difference. But this, I think, gives you a more bold cup of coffee, and Well, it very much depends on the machine, but it can reduce the amount of bitterness and over extraction that you can have. You can have some pretty great coffee machines. You can have specialty coffee level coffee machines these days, or you can have ones that just toast your beans for you.
Let me ask you this: what's the comparison between this and a French press?
Definitely a different, very different cup there. The French press is almost going to be a little bit oily.
Oh yeah, I noticed.
Which
that.
I like. I had a French press this morning, but even just the difference between a paper filter and a metal filter, even in pour over, can be pretty stark. So those are going to be very different. This is a pour over, so the water is not contacting the coffee for that long. It's draining out. And in a conical dripper, it's contacting the coffee for even less time. With a French press,
Oh, it's yeah.
it's drying from this morning. With a French press, the water is in contact with the coffee the entire time.
Yeah.
At some point, the water will cool down enough to where it's not extracting as much flavor or is working minimally. But yeah, and results in a different cup of coffee. Mom, there you go. You're an expert. You clearly remembered the first tutorial videos.
I have it written down. It's in the coffee drawer.
Oh, well, there you go. You see it every day when you
Yeah,
go
I
to
should do
get the scoop for your machine.
What temperature do you do the water at?
I like 200 Fahrenheit because I can remember it. Anything from 195 to 205 is fine. What I do is once I take this off once it starts to boil, I take it off and then I just swirl it around a little bit to cool it down a little quicker. And then I also have a thermometer and check it manually.
Nice.
So yeah, there we go.
Wow.
So that's a nice cup of coffee. Look
Oh
at
man,
that.
look at that.
I did steal one of these, so make sure you take that with you when you come
Yeah.
home. It's a bit hot, but cheers.
Cheers. Just take a little sip.
Rich.
That is
Delicious, not
deep.
bitter at all.
No,
There's a
that's
deep
nice.
flavor.
That's nice.
And with one cup like this, that should be enough. You don't
Yeah.
need 2-3 cups in the morning. With one good hearty cup of
You don't know me
dense.
out,
Yeah.
do you?
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time for a normal episode. And then, if we ever reach this milestone, we'll do the 10 subscriber special soon. And then eventually, perhaps the 100 and maybe even the 1,000 subscriber special. We're not getting 1,000 people here to do an interview. That'd be a lot. See you next time. Bye.